Yo, what's good with you? Back in black with another Enlisted video. If you guys are new to the channel and you love shooting games just like me, make sure you aim for that like button and shoot that subscribe button as well. It'll help you find better teammates and improve skill-based matchmaking. At least I hope so. In this video, we're going to be going over the latest Enlisted update, making Enlisted a better place, number 71. Man, they have been making these for a while if you can't tell. But in this update in particular, it seems this is going to be a Japanese infantry focused update as you scroll down here, or basically we're going to go over it in a second here, but a plethora of the Japanese weapons are being upgraded on their base stats, going all the way from low BR to high BR and ranging from rifles to submachine guns to machine guns. All around improvements for Japan, and I'm assuming this is in preparation for when Japan is gonna be going against Russia soon, but also this is just a great change in general because this will surely improve the Japanese player base overall, which is something that has been needing some tending to for a long time. So essentially in this update, I just wanted to go over, give some commentary and some opinions, and you guys can do the same thing down there in the comment section. And yeah, essentially we can just analyze the pros and the cons of this update together and have a good time doing so. So let's go ahead and get into it. So doing a quick scan, I noticed that these were 20 changes in total, so I'm going to divide them into sets of 2 so we can do 10 at a time. The first change is going to be the Type Co rifle, which is indeed a premium. So honestly, I will admit I don't have too much expertise in this rifle and its usage so far, but they are increasing the base damage from 11.2 to 11.7. For anybody who is actually a user of the Type Co rifle very extensively, please commentate on how good the rifle was previously, and yeah, essentially you can know that you will reap the benefits of even better damage and better range overall. The Type Otsu rifle, on the other hand, which is one of the banes of my existence in Enlisted, is having the base damage reduced from 11.6 down to 11.5. I already didn't like the rifle much overall, so they're just making it even worse, which is less of a reason to use it in my humble opinion. Again, the Type Hiei rifle, and they have late in parentheses for some odd reason, I feel like that's a typo, is having the base damage increase from 11.6 to 11.7. I already was a big fan of this rifle, and now that it's getting better damage, then it's just more reason to use it overall. Way better than the Type Otsu, if I do say so myself. The Type Hiei automatic rifle, all the way at the end of the tech tree, is having the weight increase from 4.9 all the way up to 6.7 kilograms, which I mean, that's fair. It is one of the best guns in the game generally speaking, so adding a little bit more stamina drain is totally okay with me, even though it's not necessarily something that I want to see on one of my favorite weapons generally speaking. The LMG version of the Type Hiei is having the weight reduced from 10 down to 9.3 kilograms, but this is a premium weapon, so I'm not going to sit up here and say that I have extensively much use with it. I would assume it's just an even better version of the Type Hiei automatic rifle. The Type 100 SMG early version, this is the kicker right here. This is having the base rate of fire increase all the way from 450 to 700 rounds per minute. That is a staggering buff, especially from an early BR submachine gun. And I think this change alone honestly makes the Type 100 SMG early version definitively the best SMG in BR2 for the Japanese faction. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. As a slight compensation, they did increase the weight of the weapon from 3.8 to 4.3 kilograms, but that doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things because you can easily compensate for that. The Tokyo Arsenal SMG, all the way at the end of the tech tree for Japanese submachine guns, is getting a semi-auto firing mode added, and I do find that to be a little interesting and peculiar because with a 50 round drum magazine and such a low damage, I question how useful that would be, but I do plan on giving it a shot at the very least because that ammo conservation should definitely come in handy for maybe the medium range targets, but we will have to see how good the range holds up. For the last couple of changes for our first set of weapons, the first one is going to be that the premium Japanese SMG, the Type 1, is getting an increased rate of fire from 500 to 620 rounds per minute, and this is a very welcome change as this is one of the very few premium squads that I actually have from pre-ordering the Japanese campaign for you old time players when that actually existed. But yeah, I get extensive use out of this squad, so it's very nice to see an increased rate of fire for that gun as it was already pretty good to begin with. The last change, like I was saying, for the first set is going to be the predecessor to the Type 1 and also available in the tech tree. The Type 2 SMG is also getting a rate of fire increase from 600 rounds per minute to 750, and it already has one of the best recoil stats in the game for horizontal and recoil, so just getting a higher fire rate on that and still having a laser beam of a SMG should be good for anybody who prefers that type of SMG in general, unless you prefer a higher capacity mag. Getting into our second set of weapon changes for the SIG 1920 SMG, they are changing the caliber of the gun from 7.65 Parabellum to 7.63 Mauser, which also increases the damage from a base of 5.5 to 5.7, which basically should increase your probability of getting 2-shot downs at close range and slightly increasing your range overall. To compensate though, you are getting a heavier SMG because they're going from a weight of 4.2 kilograms to 5 kilograms flat, but I don't think a weight increase on SMGs is a big deal overall. But getting into some more juicier details, we're getting a lot of recoil changes for the LMGs on the Japanese side in a general sense, and although it kind of negates what I was saying for my BR2 Japanese LMG video, I'm glad they made this change before I put out my BR3 Japanese LMG video, because as you can see, I'm in the process of getting footage for that right now, so I would have been looking silly if they didn't. So happy to see they did these changes before I got the video out and got negated again. But neither here nor there. For the Type 11 LMG, we're getting a recoil reduction by 18%, which I wish they would be a little more detailed because they don't really specify whether that's like in a vertical or horizontal sense, but a recoil reduction nevertheless is great because that really is the Achilles heel of that weapon, along with those really bad iron sights. The Type 96 LMG on the other hand was already somewhat of a laser, aside from having a top loaded magazine, so seeing a recoil reduction by 21% is a very lovely thing. And unfortunately, it's not really going to do much in the grand scheme, but we are getting a weight increase from 9 to 9.3 kilograms. The Type 97 LMG on the other hand, what I'm about to read does kind of hurt my heart a little bit because it was one of my favorite guns to use, but also it was definitively the best LMG in the tier, so they had to nerf it some way somehow. But they increased the weight of the weapon from 12.4 to 16.2 kilograms, which is a gut punch, basically meaning that you're going to lose your stamina extremely quick when using this weapon. And not only that, they reduced the sprint speed modifier from 50% to 45, so you're going to sprint slower than you usually would with any other Japanese LMG, which is also another gut punch because that is again one of their Achilles heels. The Type 99 LMG, which is more or less a little brother to the Type 96 and shoots way faster, is ironically having a fire rate reduction from 800 rounds per minute to 550, which I think isn't necessarily a bad thing in the grand scheme because it should make the weapon a lot more controllable and a lot more easier to make good use of your 30-round top loaded magazine. But not only that, they're having the weight reduced from 12 to 10.6 kilograms, so it should be a lot easier to maneuver with. And also, this is like not a gut punch but more like a probiotic. They're getting the sprint factor increased from 50% to 55, so it's going to be easier to sprint around with this LMG. I am actually very, very happy that they're going in and modifying all these stats because I have been making suggestions like these in my BR videos, so it's very happy to see that they're getting a little more frivolous with what they're modifying. But the KE7 is not really seeing much of a change, just having the weight increase from 8.2 to 9 kilograms, basically just a negative I guess a nerf for lack of better words. I almost forgot what I was going to say. But the TE4 LMG is having a recoil reduction by 18%. Again, I don't really know what that means because they don't really specify between vertical and horizontal. It's also getting a weight increase of 9.3 to 14 kilograms and having the sprint speed modified from 50% to 45. So I guess the bigger the LMG, the slower you will move with it in general. The Type 100 LMG, which is one of my favorite guns in the game, is having a weight increase from 16 to 20 kilograms, which is very much so a gut punch. I had to do a double take on that. But they're also reducing the sprint speed modifier from 50% to 40%, another gut punch. But I mean, it's understandable. Look how big the gun is and like look what it can do. And I mean, aesthetically, it makes sense. They removed the semi-auto firing mode, which is a bit of a bummer, but I mean, you can always just tap the trigger at that point. But as a buff, they are increasing the fire rate from 600 rounds per minute on each barrel to 1,000 rounds per minute on each barrel, which essentially is going to make it amazing up close, but going to make it very hard to use at medium and long range unless you mount up, I'm assuming. But they did say they're going to match the accuracy to the other high BR machine guns in the game, so I guess it's going to be more accurate in a general sense. Other than that, they are increasing the Arisaka mortar effectiveness by removing the time delayed when you actually pull the trigger, so it should shoot automatically. And for the Type A sword pistol, they are increasing the sprint speed multiplier from 100% to 150%, so you will move even faster with that if you actually decided to get one of those. I think it was a gold order, or I'm not sure if that was an event. I'm pretty sure it was a gold order, but neither here nor there. Not only did they make changes to the Japanese weapons, they also are introducing bombers into the practice mode, so anybody who is, you know, trying to shoot the bombers down or practice shooting the bombers down will be able to do that now. The last thing I did want to touch on is that they are introducing a new location to the world map. It's nice to see them making extensive use of the recent map that they added into the game. I'm just hoping that they are doing the same thing for other maps and not forgetting about them. And also I'm hoping that this doesn't take too much development time from the newer map that should be coming out soon, hopefully Manchuria or something of that nature. Only other thing is that they fixed the MG emplacements for the stationary machine guns on the D-Day mission, and they also added some new cover to the river crossing on Conquest Large, Omer Conquest, and Fortified District Conquest. And for Fortified District, they also improved the placement of capture points on that map, so hopefully those should be I guess more evenly spaced or in more interesting locations. There is some other changes in here, but it's not really anything that's too crazy, just, you know, smaller quality of life changes. They did correct the spread of the PPSH 41 box magazine. I do remember seeing people complain about that on Reddit, so I guess that's pretty cool. And then they corrected the spread of the Type 100 MG on the stat card, so it's nice to see that they're making some improvements on the Enlisted you know, stats that are actually presented in the game instead of making people go to an Excel sheet or something of that nature. But yeah, other than that, you know, that's pretty much it for the Japanese update. I am very thrilled with all the changes overall, just basically doing a nice little pass on them and making them more appealing to the general Enlisted player base. So we should see some improvement in the player base numbers, and this should be a good thing for when Manchuria comes out in the future, or I guess whatever map they're going to do. But other than that, let me know what you guys are thinking down there in the comment section. Is this a W or a L update? And yeah, don't forget to aim for that like button, shoot that subscribe button as well. Help you find better teammates, improve your skill based matchmaking, and yeah, hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Black Guy out.